Hey everyone, welcome to the weekly selection. I thought about how to do this in a more manageable way and settled on doing 20 tickers per week. I'll filter out everything else, reference anything that is relevant when we get to a specific name, but for now the list will be 20 names and this will be a recurring segment each week. Before we get into it, next week earnings go into high gear and a lot of moves in individual lanes will be dependent on earnings. Keep that in mind. Like whatever TA says, it will be trumped by the earnings reaction, and that's kind of it. Now let's get into it. We have SMH. Last week we had the ASML earnings that completely dumped us, and a lot of similar names like Clock, Amat, Lam Research, various others. And then we had TSM, which went up, but no follow through so far. And it was kind of a single name move. Like the others responded obviously, but the response was muted. And what we can see in SMH here is every single candle after this one was red. Even if the candle was positive, like for example on Thursday we had plus 172. But every time it attempts to go up, it fades during the day, fade during the day, fade during the day. And this is a bearish sign in my opinion. Like what I posted on Twitter about this one was we have a reversal candle, like we have this one here, and then it tries to go higher, fails, then flushes. We have this reversal candle here, in which it actually made a new high, but then got reversed as well, and it dropped quite a bit. This one is an inverted version, meaning it tried to go lower but got rejected, but same kind of principle here, and it had continuation. So this is what we're looking at for SMH next week. Basically, we have TXN Earnings, which looks like a breakdown. We have Lam Research Earnings, and if these two confirm the weakness from ASML, then most likely we are going to do this. If they do not, then it's probably going to be another green week. But from the signs, meaning the fact that everyday moves in semis get faded are not is not an encouraging sign. It's more of a bearish sign here in SMH, and that's kind of the expectation that it will do this starting next week at some point. Like I said, the expectation is that either Lam Research or TXN, more likely TXN will have a bigger impact, will cause this will confirm the weakness from ASML, and if that weakness is confirmed, I don't think semis can hold up anymore. And we have TXN on first Tuesday after close and Lam Research on Wednesday after close. Second name on this list is one of the earnings names. It's at a very nice spot TA wise, and regardless of what happens on earnings, we have a bigger move on our hands than expected. And because this will be affected by TXN, it will move before earnings. And we shall see how that happens. Like for example, let's say we go up, it may do this. We get like to 80, and then its own earnings will decide if it goes back here, do a double bottom like a maybe something like this, do a bullish divergence and go up, or TXN is bad and we go down to 65, bounce a bit, maybe does this on its own earnings. Something like this. We shall see. Idea is that we are at a critical point. If the move goes down, if the move is down, follow it. If the move is up, follow it. But also keep in mind that earnings and this should be like short-term play, nothing long-term. Just like weeklies, and like if they go up 30-50%, take the profit and don't look at it anymore. Then we have Penn from that from the list yesterday that were impending movers. It did move, but very little. I still think this is prone to move higher. Earnings are quite a bit away on November 7th, so I think there's time for this to move. And I like this accumulation here. It has a bit of buildup. I think it will just grow into something more over the next couple of days. DPZ, same kind of on the list yesterday as well. I like this one. It tried to move up, close the day reddish, but basically flat, but still slightly inching slightly higher. And at the same time, we have Pizza, PZZA, which also has the same look. So these two seem to be pointing towards pizza restaurant names doing uh, doing a move in tandem. So they will both either break out or get rejected. We'll see next week. Leaning towards move higher, obviously. Initially for 450, potentially can go higher to 472 on a longer time frame. And pizza, I don't know, maybe something like 62. Yeah, that this will be the level where we go at if we confirm the breakout. And even if the market goes down, I think these two can still go up. They will be like somewhat safe haven consumer staples kind of thing, uh, and they will be safety. FSLR didn't move out of this area. I still think this looks bullish. It's building more of a pennant here, not pennant, a falling wedge, like on lower time frames, like this, and all the while making higher highs on higher lows on RSI. Next week we have Enphase earnings after close on Tuesday. Is there anything else? I don't remember, but this one doesn't have earnings until the week after this one. So on the 29th, 1 week from Tuesday. Still, I assume it will react to Enphase earnings. If it's bullish and from the TA it says that it's bullish, we should go like to 215 to 20. If it is not bullish, like 175 is the next support. Then we have GME and Chewy, which look very similar, I mean, with their buildups, and both roaring kitty names. I think they will be correlated in a move. If they break out, they're both gonna go up. If they don't break out, they're not gonna go up. And initial target will be 25 for GME and then 30. For Chewy, probably just a retest to like 33. And if we break that, like 39. I don't expect this to go up if the market is weak. Like they will just follow the market. So this would be a breakdown. Uh, for Chewy, it would be something like this. Go back here to 25 and probably bounce. If we go up like this, and GME probably like to 18. Then Sketcher. This one has earnings on Thursday, after hours or in hours? After hours, Thursday. Uh, it it was set up on the previous list. It's back below this level, which is not that bullish, but holding the other one. So as long as it is in this range is unclear. If it goes above, it's clear. If it goes below, it's clear. And targets should be like this level if it goes down, and probably this if it breaks out. I don't think it will go, it will do a breakout move before earnings. So what I expect to happen is go sideways until earnings, not leave this 60 to 65 range. And on earnings, it will either move out or move down. So wait for earnings, follow through if you feel like the move is strong enough, but I wouldn't take a position before earnings on this one. Moderna waiting patiently. It closed below 55 this week. I was looking at positioning. I still have it here, and it seems like it really wants to go to 50, and or at least closer to 50 than it is now. And I actually think it's a very good buy when we get to that point. I have a alert set up if we tag 50, and I think I'm getting a bigger position if we do that. This is way too oversold. There's a support area at 50. I mean, this whole 50 to 54 area is a support area, and I think it will bounce from that. Boeing also an earnings play. I've talked about this one in the past. We're finally getting to earnings. We are in this broadening formation build up and constantly tagging the lower end of the trend line. So what this is similar to Walgreens, meaning whatever it does, it is a buy. If we go down from earnings, which is a real possibility, we will be stretching the broadening formation, but I think it's going to be to a level that is a buy. I think 140 is that level. I had something drawn here, or don't remember exactly. Yeah, something like this here, 147. So this is the bearish scenario, and if it gets to the 140 level, it's a buy. If it breaks out and it has a positive reaction, it's a follow, is a chase on Boeing, because due to the negative news from the last couple of months, and I think this has the potential to be squeezed a bit, and all that negative sentiment will get flushed relatively quickly, and it will go up more than usual. Then we have Mara back still on the list. Bitcoin trying to break out, but not quite. I would like to see a weekend move on Bitcoin, but it hasn't really done weekend moves in a while. Theoretically, it broke out, but I still think it's in the undecided range, and it can get reversed as well. So why is Mara on this list? Even though the move happened, it technically did a breakout, because this is the point where it goes exponential. Like if it recaptures this horizontal level and continues up, this is the point where it goes exponential, and it will move a lot very quickly. Like the whole move set from this low here at 15 until where it got here has been relatively slow, even though percentage-wise it's quite a decent move. Let's say we come from here and it's almost 20%. But this is nothing basically for the type of move that Mara does. Like we should be expecting this in a single day. Like for example here 9% one day, 18% the next, 871 the next. And the whole move was 50, 43, 42. And this is the type of move that happens on a breakout here, like for example how it did here. It broke out, went up a lot. And if Bitcoin shows continuation, I think this is the point where it goes exponential and it does those like 15, 20% days very quickly. Uh, if not, it will get rejected. Like if we're at a point where it can get rejected because we're at horizontal level, and you'll probably do something like this back to 16. But if it doesn't get rejected, then it will go exponential and probably hit like 25 relatively quickly within a week or two. Then we have Baba with the Chinese names bounce. It wasn't that spectacular, but to me this is expected. I think we will do something like let's delete this. So this area is support. If we ever go below this area, the recent low actually. Let me put the recent low here. If we break this low here, which is 99.55 on a closing basis, get the fuck out. Like this is going much lower. But this area is now support and we can do this for a while and go up. But what I expect to happen is we actually do something like this. This is kind of my expected plan. You can play the swings if you want. Obviously, I can be wrong. But given the expectation that the market will be weak, I don't think Chinese names will be, they will be relatively strong, but they will be like they won't do 10% moves, stuff like that. They will maybe do like 1%, 2% up, or maybe market goes down, let's say 2%, Chinese names will go down 1%, something like this. So relative strength, but nothing too out of the ordinary. So I think we have a consolidation period coming up for Chinese names, and eventually there will be another catalyst that takes us back to the recent highs or even higher. I think Baba will retest this AV up at some point this year. It's more like this is the point where we could get rejected, like it would be a fake out above this level, and then maybe do this again. But I think we have a higher chance to hit this AV up by end of the year than to go lower than 90, 99.55, whatever this level was. Next, we have NICB. This has earnings on Friday before open. Also, remember from last week the volume gap. So if we start going up, we will go up very quickly. This is probably shorted to hell as well. Wait for earnings. If it goes up, chase. If it doesn't go up, don't do anything. It's not a deep buy, in my opinion. Like if this goes down on earnings because of something they have in the earnings, this is pretty much fucked. Like we should see a low retest. It could go to zero. This one can go to zero. So don't chase if it goes down. Don't buy the dip. But if it goes up, I think it has potential to go to double, triple in a very short time span. Qualcomm is on the list in case earnings expectations are good for semis. Actually, let me put it here. So try to break out once, got rejected the second time, the second day. Tried again and got rejected again. It's not, again, not that encouraging, but within the expectation of doing this for a while and eventually moving higher. So this is on a lookout for a move above 176. And if it does that, it can potentially get to 195 or even higher a bit later. New on the list is GT. I like this green volume here. Even had a spike in volume on Friday. This is to be considered a safe haven name. It has earnings on the 30th, so we still have a week before that happens. We are in a long-term support area and it's looking pretty good. So if this breaks out, I would expect it to move relatively quickly. Also probably has a volume gap here. Yep. So it should get back to this 10 area relatively without resistance. So be on the lookout for a breakout. If it does a breakout next week, we should get to 10 without too much trouble. And also should be a safe haven if the market goes down. Tesla has earnings. I posted this one on Twitter on Friday. In theory, this is a bear flag, like this. Not that low, but you get the point. It didn't move on Friday, but I would assume it's going to do so next week, even before earnings. And with Tesla earnings, it's always complicated. I would say that if we go down before earnings and get to the 200 area, it's a potential buy for earnings. But if we go up, I wouldn't chase for earnings. I don't know, it's complicated. But the setup is very good. It can go either way. You can before earnings, you can follow in either direction. Next, PBI remains on the list. Almost broke out on Friday. Looking pretty good for continuation next week. Then we have XLU, which continues this bearish divergence setup. I think it's kind of ready to move. XLU doesn't have liquidity, but if you remember, I bought puts on Nextra for this move here, and it was okay. Uh, I was waiting for this kind of move. I'm not doing anything because has earnings. So Nextra will report on Wednesday. But if the reaction is negative to Nextra earnings, I don't expect it to move that much before that. So just go be very, very tight. And on earnings, if it goes down, I would expect it to go to 70. So if this one goes down on earnings, it's a chase. So we chase until 70. If it goes up, do nothing, like maybe it goes to 91, we'll reassess here if we buy puts. And finally for this week we have Medtronic, which looks like a horizontal breakout of a long-term head and shoulders. Like this looks very good. And target is double up of the head and shoulders. So let's say something like up to here. So 113. This one should also be a safe haven for next week in case the market goes down. So ideal entry would be like if it goes back to 90, and it definitely can go back to 90, hold, turn the resistance into support, and then it should over time, maybe not that steep, but something like this. Earnings quite a bit away, like November 19th. So plenty of time. It would be nice to get a retest of like this ideal scenario for this one is it goes down on Monday like this. Let's say it goes to just below 91, but closes the day back above, closer to the high. So a pullback intraday, but it makes like a hammer candle, something like this, and then it just continues up. I really like this setup. It's very nice. Okay, that's it for the individual names this week. Have a good one. Bye bye.